I think, okay. I'd like to call to order a regular meeting of the Watchung Borough Board of Education on December 21st, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. May we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which
it
stands,
one nation,
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to a meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Watchung. Please be advised that this and all meetings of the board are open to the public and media consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act, and that the advance notice required therein has been provided. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Watchung at which formal action may be taken. This meeting is being conducted remotely using communication technology. Instructions for joining the meeting and participating in public comments have been posted on the district website and sent to the Watchung Borough and the Watchung Public Library, as well as to the school community through an email blast. The public will have an opportunity to be heard as shown on the agenda at points in the meeting provided for the public to address the board. Recording or photographing other than for private personal use requires the consent of parents/guardians whose children may be included in the image. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Barbella,
Yes.
Mr. Buccarelli,
Here.
Mrs. Harvey,
Here.
Mrs. Ingracia,
here,
Mr. Kraft,
Here.
and Mrs. Murad,
Here.
Mrs. O'Donnell,
Here.
Mrs. Posehn,
here,
Mrs. Scharf,
Here.
all present.
Okay. Before we get to the board member comments, I would like for each board member to take a turn reading Gail's proclamation. So whoever wants to start off.
I'll start off. Whereas Gail O'Donnell generously gave 12 years of service on the Watchung Board of Education from 1988 to 2000 and graciously returned in 2019 to fill a vacated board seat. And
Whereas Gail O'Donnell diligently served on and chaired board committees, including human resources and curriculum, in addition to her previous service on matters of facilities, operation, finance, technology, and
Whereas Gail O'Donnell gave highly competent representation for the Watchung Borough Board of Education as the Community Engagement Liaison and the Somerset County Educational Services Commission Liaison. And
whereas Gail O'Donnell brought invaluable experience to board issues with her educational background, inquisitive nature, love of children, and passion for the teaching profession. And
whereas Gail O'Donnell embraced a culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion and advocated regularly for the training of student teachers in our schools. And
whereas Gail O'Donnell practiced independent thinking, gave invaluable guidance to the board and administration, and made decisions in the best interests of students. And
whereas Gail O'Donnell selflessly served on the board with honesty and respect for everyone in our community, volunteering countless hours with a mission to make this district the best it could be. And
whereas Gail O'Donnell welcomed and mentored new board members to ensure a cohesive and knowledgeable board that knew the institutional history of the district. And
whereas Gail O'Donnell's experience, commitment, sense of responsibility, and integrity will be greatly missed by her colleagues on the Watchung Borough Board of Education. And
whereas Gail O'Donnell's welcoming personality and understanding made all board members, administrators, and staff comfortable working in a collaborative environment. And
now, therefore, be it resolved that the Watchung Borough Board of Education expresses deep appreciation for Gail O'Donnell's tireless efforts and valuable service to the district, recognizes all the people she touched through her dedication, her dedicated volunteerism on the board, and wishes her continued health, happiness, and success in all her future endeavors. Thank you, Gail.
Thank you very much. That was very beautiful. I appreciate it. Thank you. I do have a few words, if I may. Is it possible now?
Sure.
Okay, wonderful. I would like to say a few words as I leave my last board meeting tonight, very sadly. We have been through one of the most difficult times in education with the pandemic. The time, effort, dedication, and professionalism of this board has been most commendable and admirable. When elected to the board, your life becomes the board, and with that, the responsibility is profound. To the parents and community, don't ever underestimate the school board's diligent work that takes place with decisions, committee meetings, board meetings, and continuous education of every board member, so to ensure that every student in Watchung gets the best education possible. The board works with the administration with respect, vigor, and implementation of 21st century learning. We all want the same thing, a strong educational system for our children. The teaching staff, our students' educators, must and will continue to bring the most exceptional teaching to our students, but with guidance and support from all of us. Thank you, teachers, for all your efforts during this new virtual hybrid teaching that is a challenge every day during this period of time. You have learned so much and have given your true teacher efforts for our children. When we talk about essential workers, besides our teachers and administration, it is our custodians who have made it possible for our students to be in schools safe and sound. Without your professional work, our schools would not be open today. Mr. Alexis, your endless hours of running our schools through this period has been gallant. Your continuous efforts to maintain and keep our schools open has provided our students the gift of education. I know when we get back to a new norm, you will take this school system to higher levels. Mr. Pepe, your spirited smile and expertise with finances keeps this school afloat. With your efforts to find money, write for grants, and maintain our budget, our school has become more financially sound. Your endless efforts are tremendously appreciated. Mrs. Handowski, the administrative staff at Bayberry and Valley View and board office, and Mrs. Fickner, Mrs. Kidd, our principals, and Mrs. Ditota, Special Education Services, you are all saints for your diligent work and professionalism that you perform each and every day. And to the board, I know that this board is and will be true to their commitment to education for all the students of Watchung. And by demonstrating the importance of working effortlessly together, you all will move the board's efforts forward. Our schools will continue to be one of the highest educational institutions in this state and will maintain the highest of educations for the student. Last but not least, we must keep our schools well maintained and always looking to develop our schools for the future. Thank you for the opportunity to work with you all. I will remember these 14 months being on the board with you, since they were a historical moment in history. Happy holiday, Merry Christmas, and a safe and healthy New Year to you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gail.
Thanks, Gail.
Are there any board member comments?
I'll go. Gail, you've just been a pleasure to work with, and you just brought I'll miss your view on everything and how your passion and even your goodbye. It says it all. You will be missed. And enjoy your relaxation time.
Okay, thanks.
Amen.
I'd like to say this, so echo the similar sentiment. You will be greatly missed on the board, Gail. You had no legitimate reason to come back to this board after serving 12 years after putting 3 of your own children through these schools, after serving as a career teacher. In addition, you're married to a building principal. You are so knee deep in education, and to come back and give us your expertise and your skills was so wonderful of you. You've had such a wealth of knowledge. I've learned so much from you. It's been a privilege to work alongside you on the board, and it's been a blessing to get to know you better and call you a friend. We'll really miss you.
Thank you.
Gail, you'll be deeply missed. And what I love about you, Gail, is that no matter what situation, no matter what topic, you were always the most positive person in the room, and always, encouraging others and, providing your guidance. And it's greatly appreciated, and you'll be missed. And you're just a genuinely nice person that really wants what's best for the community. So I thank you for the time that you dedicated.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to say something. Congratulations to our teachers that got Teacher of the Year. I do not have their names. I'm hoping, Dory, you'll help me out. But congratulations to them all.
I also want to say, Gail, you will deeply be missed by not only me, but all the board. And I just want to thank you for everything that you've done. And that what you just said kind of helps me, because I wanted to congratulate this year's Teacher of the Year at Bayberry, Stephanie Tasco, and the Educational Services Professional of the Year, Dan Rongo, along with Valley View's Teacher of the Year, Natalie White, and Educational Services Professional, Lauren McLeod. We also have a couple of retirements on the agenda tonight, and I'd like to thank Lori Joyce, Mary Rakowski, and Robert Murphy for their years of service, and I wish them the best during their retirement. There's also a couple grants and donations on our agenda, and I wanted to thank the PTO for the schools grant. It is appreciated along with the youth service grants and the donation from the Watchung Hills Regional High School. The other thing I wanted to do was thank the board members for agreeing to postpone the December 10th board meeting to tonight, so that our community members could observe the first night of Hanukkah. I know the calendar said that Hanukkah started on Friday, December 11th, but it really started at sundown on Thursday, December 10th. So I wanted to thank everybody for their flexibility on that. And then finally, 2020 has really been a whirlwind of change in the world. And that being said, and keeping this short and sweet, I just wanted to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, and a Happy New Year.
Hi, I just wanted to echo everybody's comments on Gail, which I heartily agree with, and can't even add to. They're just wonderful. So thank you all. And then it is the last meeting of the calendar year, even though it's not the last meeting in the school year. And I think it's time to just take a pause. And under these extraordinary circumstances, I wanted to just thank the administration, the teachers, the parents, and the entire community, as well as my colleagues on the board for, so far so good, helping us do the best we can to educate our children during the worst pandemic in a century. I know there's a lot of sacrifices. I know everything's not perfect, but I think that everybody is doing a really outstanding job. And I just wanted to thank everybody for their cooperation in getting through these difficult times.
Well said.
Are there any other board member comments? Any announcements from the superintendent?
Yes, Mrs. Harvey, thank you. And thank you for those remarks, Mr. Buccarelli. And Gail, I also want to recognize you for your past service and also for coming out of retirement in the past 14 months. So good of you. It's been my privilege to work with you. I got to know you years ago at the high school when we worked on that project together, and you've just been such a wonderful board member. And I'm so very grateful for your dedication, your integrity, but really your kindness. You've been a wonderful board member, and the entire school community is better for your service. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to recognize our retirees. We have proclamations that were put together by various colleagues, and I'll start with Mrs. Lori Joyce. This is a proclamation that was prepared by the Watchung Borough School Secretaries to be read tonight to honor Mrs. Lori Joyce for her more than 20 years of service as a secretary, administrative assistant in the district. It reads like this. Whereas Lori Joyce was hired as a clerical aide in Valley View Middle School on September 1, 2000, and whereas Lori Joyce became the Valley View secretary / administrative assistant to the principal in 2005, and whereas Lori Joyce became the Bayberry secretary administrative assistant to the principal in 2013, whereas Lori Joyce worked for 7 principals during her long tenure in the district, and whereas Lori Joyce played key roles and would bear many responsibilities that are crucial to the efficient functioning and smooth running of day-to-day operations in assisting educators, principals, students, and parents of the district. And whereas Lori Joyce ran the office with ease and kindness interspersed with fun and laughter to fill each day, and whereas Lori Joyce will be truly missed by her colleagues for her dedication, organization, knowledge, impeccable and precise work habits, but most of all, her smiling face, patience, and caring personality, which kept Bayberry School and the main office functioning smoothly. And whereas Lori Joyce was an awesome secretary, we were lucky to find, is difficult to part with, and impossible to forget for her dedication and friendship. And whereas Lori Joyce will be missed, never forgotten, and always loved by her colleagues at Bayberry and in the Watchung Borough School District. And whereas Lori Joyce should be proud of her work, the person she is, and the difference she has made. And whereas Lori Joyce can look forward to happy days ahead, now be it resolved that the Watchung Borough Board of Education and the entire school community extend our gratitude for Lori Joyce's dedication and service to Bayberry School and the district, and wish her continued health and happiness in retirement. Next, we have Mary Rakowski. This was prepared by the Valley View teachers to honor Ms. Rakowski for 18 years of service as a library aide and paraprofessional in the district. It reads as follows. Whereas Mary Rakowski has been an aide in the Watchung Borough School District for 18 years, initially hired on April 8, 2002 as a library aide in Valley View School, where she created library displays, bulletin boards, integrating books, and celebrations inspiring students to visit the library and engage in resources. And whereas Mary Rakowski became an instructional aide, paraprofessional in 2011 in Valley View School, and assisted classroom teachers with connecting with students and parents, always keeping student learning and engagement the primary goal. Whereas Mary Rakowski always recognized students' full potential and instilled a sense of, yes, I can in students. And whereas Mary Rakowski touched the lives of countless students over these 18 years, helping them develop their own creative spirits, cultivating their aesthetic sensibilities, and inspiring them to see beauty in the world. And whereas Mary Rakowski was always watching over students and always took the time to celebrate students when she saw their quiet acts of kindness with one another. And whereas Mary Rakowski's boundless energy, experience, creativity, kindness, sense of responsibility and fun, but most of all her friendship, will be greatly missed by her colleagues in the Watchung Borough School District. And whereas Mary Rakowski has been a role model for many faculty and staff, and her calm, nurturing spirit, her ability to create an aura of inclusion, and her love of family and community have been constants throughout our Valley View family. Now be it resolved that the Watchung Borough Board of Education and the entire school community extend our gratitude for Mary Rakowski's dedication and service to Valley View School, and wish her continued health and happiness in retirement. And then last but not least, is Mr. Murphy. Now, it's a little known fact that Murph was an assistant basketball coach at Valley View when a certain superintendent was an 8th grade basketball player. Even though my career peaked in the 5th grade, I want you to know, Murph, I haven't forgotten your commitment to the team and your passion for teaching and coaching from way back then. And what's remarkable is that your service to the students, the district, and the community actually spans 6 decades. Proclamation, which was put together by the Valley View teachers, reads as follows. Whereas Robert Murphy was hired on September 1, 1992 as a health and physical education teacher in Valley View School, and whereas Robert Murphy touched the lives of countless students over 28 years, sharing his love of sports and photography with all his students, encouraging them in their dreams. And whereas Robert Murphy's hard work and dedication was recognized in 1994 when he was named Valley View Teacher of the Year, and whereas Robert Murphy was instrumental in writing curriculum for the comprehensive Watchung Borough School District Health and Physical Education Program, and whereas Robert Murphy took thousands of pictures throughout the district, was the Valley View Photography Club advisor for many years, taking student picture-taking adventures to New York City, Gateway National Park, and Point Pleasant. And whereas Robert Murphy also used his talents to help design the Valley View 8th grade yearbook each year. And whereas Robert Murphy served as the longstanding Valley View track and field coach, where he shared his love of the sport with the students. And whereas Robert Murphy was the ski club advisor, taking students on trips every winter. Whereas Robert Murphy was the Valley View coordinator of intramurals, getting students involved in after-school activities, including flag football, volleyball, hockey, basketball, and adventure ed. And whereas Robert Murphy was the Title IX coordinator, scheduling basketball, baseball, softball games, and officials for the Valley View games. And whereas Robert Murphy brought his dog, Reese, a therapy dog, to work once a week to help students and staff stay calm and focused while learning the importance of how animals help people. And whereas Robert Murphy raised money for the American Heart Association through jump rope and hoops for hearts, whereas Robert Murphy worked tirelessly and selflessly to try to get the Watchung Borough School District staff that winning lottery ticket. And whereas Robert Murphy worked deliberately and collaboratively with the faculty and administration of Valley View School, and whereas Robert Murphy's boundless energy, experience, creativity, sense of responsibility and fun, but most of all his friendship, will be greatly missed by his colleagues in the Watchung Borough School District. Now be it resolved that the Watchung Borough Board of Education and the entire school community extend our gratitude for Robert Murphy's leadership and service to Valley View School and wish him continued health and happiness in retirement. And I want to thank all the teachers that helped put this together, and of course, Mrs. Sankowski, who coordinated the projects. We wish our 3 retirees all the best. We're grateful to our retirees, of course, and during this unusual school year, we are particularly thankful for all our educators and staff members, including, as Mrs. O'Donnell mentioned, our custodial staff, who have maintained a disciplined cleaning routine and literally dug us out of the snow with their round-the-clock efforts last Thursday so we could have in-person school on Friday. But at the same time, I'd also like to congratulate our educators of the year who were surprised by their principals in school last week. I was going to let the principals make the announcements during their reports, but I guess the cat's out of the bag. So I want to congratulate Miss Tasco, Mr. Rongo, Mrs. White, and Miss McLeod. I also want to thank, as Mrs. Harvey said, thank the PTO for the grants that appear in the agenda and the Borough's Youth Services Commission for the grant that's on this evening's agenda. We're grateful for the ongoing support. And I also want to thank the Borough, particularly Jim D'Amato, for their hand last week in helping us clear the snow on the school property. It was a big help. And last, just a couple of reminders too. We also, of course, as Mr. Buccarelli mentioned, remain deeply grateful for everyone's cooperation and support. It's not easy trying to keep a school open during a pandemic. It takes a real team effort. So just a few remarks about the importance of following the health safety protocols. I know I sound like a broken record with this, but it's important, and particularly following the guidance from our health office. So we've been very, very fortunate, as I've said before, to keep in-person instruction going, and we intend to stay open after the holiday break. But to do that, we have to continue being as vigilant and cautious as possible, especially during these next couple of days and throughout the holidays. The last thing we want to do is be forced to do contact tracing during the holiday break later this week, or have issues when we try to return in January. You'll recall after Thanksgiving, we saw a rise in symptomatic individuals and positive test results. And we don't want, I don't think anyone wants a repeat of that experience. So thank you for helping us keep our schools open. Remember that this Wednesday is a half day with no afternoon remote instruction. You all have our best wishes for a safe, healthy, and relaxing time with your families at home. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Toto for an update from our Special Services Director.
Thank you, Mr. Alexis. First, I would like to thank Mrs. O'Donnell for her service to the district as a member of the Board of Education. Gail, your comments, your questions, your experiences, your suggestions, and certainly your support have truly shaped the direction of the Department of Special Services in particular over the past year, and I thank you for that. I'd also like to congratulate our retirees. Thank you all for your years of service and dedication to the district, to the students and the programs in particular. Congratulations to the Teachers of the Year and our education service professionals as well. The work you do each day for our students is certainly inspiring. I'd also like to recognize our CPAG and thank them for their successful fundraising efforts. The face mask fundraiser earlier this year and the pie sale last month. It always makes me smile under my mask when I see the CPAG fundraising masks being worn around our schools. As the district's in-person and remote instruction continues, the staff in the Department of Special Services continues to provide instruction and related services in the hybrid model, and our child study team is making great strides in completing evaluations and meetings that were delayed due to the school closure in the spring. I have a quick announcement from the Morris Union Jointure Commission. This information that I'm about to share is located on their website, and it will also be added to our Special Services Parent Workshops, Trainings, and Events website as well. The Morris Union Jointure Commission has upcoming parent workshops. Social emotional learning will be held on January 6th via Google Meet. A transition planning workshop will be on January 13th via Google Meet, and a creating visual schedules and behavior expectations workshop is still being planned for in-person on March 25th, 2021. The Department of Special Services will have announcements in the new year inviting parents to meet the Special Services Department staff, and we'll also be looking for requests for topics for future meetings that we can facilitate discussions around. Another district announcement, the district before and after school program is up and running at Bayberry School. Information is posted on our district website, and anyone with specific questions can reach out to me to help with those. I would like to wish all of our students, our families, our staff, and our school community a happy holiday season and a happy new year.
Thank you, Mr. Toto. Now we would like to move into the NJSLA presentation. Mr. Pepe, if you could get that presentation up on the screen, that would be terrific. And while Mr. Pepe is doing that, by way of background, I just want everyone to understand why we're doing this presentation. The state requires us to report the data each year based on the previous spring's administration of the NJSLA. As everyone knows, the test was canceled last year, so we did not have any new data to report, but still the state is requiring us to present some form of data. So we reviewed the NJ school performance reports and revised the presentation from the previous year. You'll see that the special education scores have been added and that certain results overall have been withheld by the Department of Ed for privacy purposes. Usually that is driven by a sample size that what they consider to be too small. So I think Mr. Pepe is going to pull that up right now, our presentation. We can advance a few slides here to the, I think slide 3, Mr. Pepe. Well, yes, when we get to the vision statement, just the slide before this one. And you'll see that with the vision statement, you'll see that it's characterized by exploration, inquiry, and collaboration. We don't forget about making this a joyful journey for students and teachers, focused on discovery, independent thinking, and creative problem solving, not on rote learning, memorization. It's all about trying to get students to grow into their capacities and their potential, to actualize that potential. And in order to do that, we need to have a culture of acceptance and inclusion to provide that social and emotional foundation for learning. And of course, we all know that it's through reflection that we grow in our learning process and understand things more deeply. And of course, our values of helping students make ethical decisions will continue to guide our teaching and learning in our schools. We believe those are the values that will help us teach students and prepare them for a fast changing world and where they can be productive global citizens. So on the next slide, you'll see that what this translates to is a culture that is focused on student engagement in an authentic learning process. One where students learn to think for themselves, learn to be independent thinkers, creative problem solvers, and critical thinkers. By helping them develop their communication and collaboration skills and their problem solving skills, they will learn and grow together. Any good curriculum is going to be based on the standards that the state has produced over the years and continues to revise. And of course, we believe in the importance of a safe and supportive learning environment, as I said, for the appropriate social and emotional growth of our students. The next slide gets us into the data. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Fickner and Mr. Toda.
Good evening. Excuse me. You can just go right to the next slide. We'll start off with third grade. So overall for third grade, we saw an increase in students meeting and exceeding from the 17-18 school year to the 18-19 school year. As you can see, math, there was an increase of 17%, and language arts an 8% increase. Mrs. Detoto, did you want to comment on the students with disabilities?
Sure. As Mr. Alexis pointed out, that asterisk in the 2016-17 school year would indicate that data was not displayed to protect student privacy, typically because the number of students, the size of the group is just too small to maintain that confidentiality. But we did see an increase from 2017-18 to 2018-19 of students with disabilities who met or exceeded the state standard.
Okay, so we can go on to grade 4. So grade 4, overall, we saw a significant increase for math from 17-18 to 18-19 school year with a 13% increase. Language arts saw a decrease from 17-18 to 18-19 of about 11%. And then Mrs. Detoto.
And our results for students with disabilities in grade 4 were inconsistent from 2016-17 to 17-18 to 18-19.
Okay, we can go to the next slide. So for language arts for grades 3 and 4, we exceeded the state for students meeting or exceeding in both grades. And for math on the next slide. So in math as well, grades 3 and 4 exceeded the state for students meeting or exceeding. And I think that's it for me.
Hey, it's my turn. Good evening. I'm also going to highlight the change in performance between the 2017-18 school year and the 2018-19 school year. So let's take a look at 5th grade. So if we look at 5th grade language arts, our students performed consistently with 78% meeting or exceeding expectations. And in mathematics, the percentage of students meeting or exceeding increased by 5%. Ms. Totoda, do you have anything you want to share about this slide? I know there's lots of asterisks.
There's lots of asterisks on this one. From the 2017-18 to 18-19 school year, we really don't have data that we can compare because of our sample size.
Okay, let's move on to 6th grade. In 6th grade language arts, the percentage of students meeting or exceeding expectations increased by 19%. And in 6th grade math, the number decreased by only 1%. We have some more numbers there for you, Ms. Totoda.
We do have some more numbers. From 2017-18 to 2018-19, the percent of students with disabilities who met or exceeded expectations decreased in both language arts and in math.
Okay, let's look at 7th grade. In 7th grade language arts, the number of students meeting or exceeding expectations increased by 5%. And in math, the number decreased by 4%.
And in both language arts and math, the students with disabilities meeting or exceeding increased from 2017-18 to 2018-19.
Yeah, there was a nice big jump there. I like that one. In 8th grade language arts, the number of students meeting or exceeding expectations increased by a whopping 24%. And in 8th grade math, the number increased by 18%. And then in Algebra 1, the number stayed consistent at 93%. All amazing numbers.
So in 8th grade, I don't have math numbers that we can really compare, but in English language arts, students with disabilities meeting or exceeding went from 19% to 89% in 2018-19. So that was a good number.
Oh, yes. And what you'll see in the next two slides are the comparison of our district and the state. So here you can see that Valley View students outperformed the state's number of students who met or exceeded expectations in language arts in every grade level. And you'll see the same for math. Again, we outperformed the state for every single grade level, which is always a good thing. And in algebra, and Algebra 1 has a mix of students from both 7th and 8th grade. Okay, I'm going to let Denise do the first couple bullets of our next steps on how we can take this data and we can continue to improve teaching and learning.
Right. So our next steps, our first thing is to look at curriculum. So we want to analyze our curriculum for areas that need to be aligned to the standards, identify gaps or redundancies in the curriculum. The second thing is to implement research-based, high-impact instructional strategies and provide teachers with high-quality resources. We also want to analyze the master schedules at both schools to identify ways to better support our curriculum and instruction, and also make sure we're giving sufficient time to teach the curriculum.
Thank you, Denise. And as Denise and Mr. Alexis both mentioned earlier, all of these things are wonderful to have, but part of it is the ongoing professional development and reflection. And those are key components to improving the teaching and learning. So our plan for next steps regarding professional development includes a focus on refining our current professional learning communities to help them in the practice of using student data to inform instruction, enhancing our use of the Teachers College Reading and Writing Project in grades K through 8, and implementing a diagnostic adaptive assessment to provide teachers with actionable insight into student need. Two programs we are looking at are the MAP and iReady assessments. Ms. Totoda?
In addition to those next steps, within the Department of Special Services, we'll also be looking at continued professional development. For us, it might look a little different, focusing more on in-class resource models of instruction, as well as participation for special services staff in all of the general education professional development. For the Department of Special Services, it'll also be us analyzing our resources ensuring that our students have access to the general education curriculum materials, as well as any additional specialized resources that might be appropriate for their instruction. And it will also, for the Department of Special Services, will also be analyzing data, using that data to guide instruction, set goals, identify programs and services for individual students, and participation in the NWEA MAP assessment or iReady, along with the general education students.
That does it for the presentation. I know that the principals also have their reports that they would like to deliver.
Okay, I can go first if you want. Yeah, okay. Alrighty, principal report December. Our revised traffic plan for parent pickup and drop off has been successful due to the cooperation from families and Watchung Police. By routing the traffic up Bayberry Lane to turn around and stage on the northbound side of the road, the buses are now able to enter safely and without delay. Thank you to everyone for their assistance in making this a smooth transition. We have begun our student-led morning announcements, facilitated and coordinated by our creative director, Mrs. Mills. The fourth graders are doing a great job delivering school news, reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, and announcing birthdays and special events, all while practicing their public speaking skills. In addition, Mrs. Fleming continues to deliver the Bayberry Morning News and highlight student accomplishments on Wednesdays. Our first trimester ended on December 11th, and our first report cards were visible in Genesis on December 18th. We are proud of our students' accomplishments and growth over the past few months. Congratulations to Bayberry's Educator of the Year, Special Education Teacher, Mrs. Stephanie Tasco. Mrs. Tasco is a skilled and dedicated special education teacher who goes above and beyond to meet the needs of her students. She holds her Orton Gillingham certification and a master's in reading specialization from Keene University. She's currently participating in the Montclair University's Virtual Learning for Students with Disabilities certification program. Mrs. Tasco has been a driving force behind the successful implementation of hybrid learning by leading her colleagues in utilizing classroom technology effectively and developing innovative, engaging lessons. Congratulations, Stephanie, or Mrs. Tasco, sorry. And also congratulations to our Educational Support Professional of the Year, Mr. Daniel Rongo. Mr. Rongo is a paraprofessional who is always willing to lend a helping hand and do whatever he can to assist the students and staff. His enthusiasm shines through every day as he greets everyone with his positive attitude and pleasant demeanor. We appreciate Mr. Rongo's hard work, dedication, and the connections he has made with the students and staff. And finally, I would like to congratulate Loretta Joyce in her retirement and wish her the best of luck in her future endeavors after more than 20 years of service to the district. The staff, students, and families of Watchung will miss her dearly. We thank her for her true dedication, her warm welcome, and her ability to make us smile. Good luck, Lori. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. First, Gail, I need to say it was an absolute pleasure working with you. I will always remember your warm welcome at my first Board of Ed meeting in Watchung. I think we started together, or you restarted, I should say. So that was a very memorable moment and a great indication of what kind of community I was entering. At Valley View, in November, we highlighted acts of gratitude and celebrated students' accomplishments for marking period 1. Report cards went live on November 23rd and recognized our honor roll and high honor roll recipients. We are looking forward to our students' continued success. Our math, science, and STEM teachers advanced their understanding of the interactive simulation tool Gizmos by participating in a professional development opportunity on November 20th. The week of December 7th, students participated in the Hour of Code for Computer Science Education Week in the Media Center or online. They utilized resources from code.org as well as resources from Google for Education. On December 9th, Ms. Hustids and Mrs. Bakasha's 5th grade science students enjoyed a special virtual visit from Amani Garvin, an employee from SpaceX. She discussed her responsibilities at SpaceX and her work with NASA. The fifth graders prepared questions in advance, which Ms. Garvin happily answered. A recording of the virtual guest speaker will be shared with the rest of the fifth grade students. December's theme of generosity and kindness was extended to the community by some of our student clubs. Student Council organized a hat and mitten drive to donate to the needy of Somerset County. The Community Outreach Club hosted Adopt a Family gift card fundraiser sponsored by the Hearts of Watchung. They also organized some fun virtual activities for students and their families: 2 crafting classes, a family trivia night, and a scavenger hunt. I'd like to extend my congratulations to Valley View's Educator of the Year, Mrs. Natalie White, Mathematics Teacher and Educational Support Professional of the Year, Ms. Lorin McLeod Kerville, our school counselor. They are being celebrated for their outstanding commitment to our students and to our educational community during their tenure in Watchung. Both Mrs. White and Ms. McLeod served on multiple professional committees, helped prepare and continue to improve on our hybrid learning model, acted as club advisors, and taught students across grade levels. They also provide professional support for students, families, and their colleagues. I was absolutely thrilled to notify them that they were selected for our Governor's Educator of the Year committee for this honor. On a more personal note, like much of our educational community, our recipients have provided me with invaluable support and guidance during my transition to Valley View. Thank you so much, ladies, and congratulations again. Finally, I would like to extend my best wishes to Mrs. Rakowski, our beloved staff member and instructional aide extraordinaire, and of course to Mr. Murphy, Valley View's beloved physical education teacher, coach, club advisor, and so much more. Though I haven't had the pleasure of working him for very long, he has demonstrated time and time again that our students' well-being is his #1 priority. He will truly be missed, but his commitment, hard work, and dedication to our school community will not be forgotten. Best wishes to everyone for a safe and enjoyable winter break. I'm looking forward to a much better 2021.
Thank you, Mrs. Kidd, Mrs. Fickner, and Mr. Toto. The last item on this section of the agenda is the enrollment reports. Our enrollment currently stands at 612, which represents an increase of 8 students from the first day of school in September. That was kind of a long section of the agenda. Thank you, everyone, for your attention.
Gail, can you please give the HR committee report?
There was quite a bit. And so, as you know, that we did get our Bayberry secretary. The nurse update, we're still working on Bayberry. Technology specialist, we will be voting on. Staff observations are continuing on. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you, Gail. Rich, can you please give the operations committee report?
Sure. We had a meeting on December 2nd. We followed up on the Phillips Field lease shared services meeting with the borough. Committee discussed the Phillips Field lease, and we determined that there should be 2 minor amendments to the lease agreement. The first is a clause stating that any use beyond those stated in the lease agreement would require Board of Education approval. And the second was for the Board of Education to reserve the right to make improvements to the property without needing the consent of the lessee. We have a companion policy that's going with this, so I would imagine that the lease will be in final form for the rest of the board to see by the next meeting, at which time we would probably vote on it. Next, we discussed the next steps for the long-range facilities plan and a possible referendum. The committee reviewed a timeline of action steps that would be needed to be completed in preparation for a possible referendum. The timeline shows what it would take to have the referendum in September, which is the earliest we could do it. And in case that is the timing that the board chooses, we decided to say, let's go for the first the first date we could, which would be, almost 10 months away. The committee discussed the need to be flexible with this timeline if necessary. The next step in the process will be to hold full board discussions about the projects to be proposed for the inclusion of a possible referendum, and this would be broken into two discussions at future board meetings. The timeline, I'm not going to go into it specifically, but it basically sort of bifurcates the project into two categories. Category one would be mechanical and engineering building envelope and grounds improvements, which, are absolutely necessary. And I think maybe more objective than category two. Category two are the improvements basically to the interior of the schools in order to promote a more modern educational environment. We're leaning heavily on our superintendent for advice and recommendations with respect to this. So figure February timeframe for category one, March timeframe for category two, with full board discussions about those. And then there is a cadence that goes from there, but that's what's immediately in front of us, and the board has the rest of the schedule if there's any questions. Then let me just get back to the operations minutes. Oh, okay. So I don't see it, but I remember what it was. The long range facilities plan is a requirement of the state. We're actually late in submitting it according to our architect. And so the thought of the committee would be to modify the long range facility plan to put everything in it that could possibly be voted on for a referendum or possibly approved by the board for a referendum with the town. And we would have that, this is really sort of a ministerial matter, even though it does name a lot of the things that would be in a referendum. It's not an approval of that. If you want to do anything to the school, it has to be in the long range facility plan. So just think of it as an all-inclusive document, and not a document that by any stretch of the imagination we're saying we're going to do everything with respect to. Mr. Pepe, do you have any further comments on that?
I think you said it well, Mr. Buccarelli. The concept here is the long-range facility plan, whether we had a referendum discussion or not, would have to be approved now in order for us to spend any money, local debt service, referendum, anything on some of these projects. So the long-range facility plan that'll come to the board next month needs to get approved regardless of what decision is made for a future referendum.
Okay, thank you. Next, we addressed tech services update. The administration presented a plan to the committee to replace our current technology support vendor with a hybrid technology support model. I don't know, Rich. I don't see the Pitbull Secure Technologies Shared Services Agreement on the agenda. Was it intended to be?
It was. Is it not on the agenda? Hold on.
It wasn't on the first. We could approve. We could put it back on. I know you put it in the attachments. My only question there, Rich,
Yeah.
Mr. Pepe, is, I haven't done a lot of these shared services agreements that are governmental in nature. What I was looking for in it, it seemed pretty, boilerplate, but since it is a shared services agreement, I would have expected a clause that said something like, we are only responsible for the services that we take as a district. It doesn't really say that. Do you think that would be we could put that in there? Or is it not necessary in your opinion?
In this case, it wouldn't be necessary because we're going to pay the amount which is for the support services that it happens when we need it. So if we need them every day for 365 days, we get them 365 times. If we need them 12 times in the year, we get them 12 times.
Yeah, I just wanted
the
to make
service
sure that that would be
payment.
clear in the agreement, but if you or the attorney thinks it's fine, then we can go with that.
Yep.
We then talked about the pandemic cost update. There were no changes since the previous committee meeting, which showed an increase, which was, I would characterize it as not tremendously material to our original budget. And with that being said, Mr. Alexis and the administration and Mr. Pepe are working on the fiscal year 22 budget. And the spreadsheets are due before winter break. Initial budget draft will be ready in early January. We did have a cost for medical benefits increase for the 2020-21 school year, as well as 2021-22. So the full year cost is approximately $90,000. The part of the cost that's going to hit us in this school year is approximately $40,000. And there will be a Youth Services Commission grant on the agenda. That's all I had.
Thank you, Rich. Jen, can you please give the curriculum committee report?
Yes. The curriculum committee met on Thursday, December 3rd at 3:30. Highlights are that the testing window for NJSLA has been set by the state, but the state has not provided any information on how the test will be administered remotely. So that's just kind of a wait and see. And again, Mrs. Kidd had mentioned the assessments that the district is looking at to monitor student growth. So the district's exploring 2 programs to help the district improve their formative assessments and data-driven decision-making. The goal is to unify the approach to the assessments throughout the district and measure student progress in terms of the state content standards. And then last highlight, the STEM lab. The committee discussed that the possibility of the STEM lab at Valley View, perhaps post-pandemic, being used for after-school clubs, like perhaps coding or robotics, which I think would be something great for the kids to look forward to after all of this goes away. That's it.
Thank you, Jen. Joe, can you please give the policy committee report?
Sure. So the policy committee met on Monday, December 7th. We really looked at 2 primary policies and or regulations. One is on the agenda tonight, which is the second reading of the remote public board meeting declaration during an emergency, which just gives us some flexibility during these times. And the other is not on the agenda tonight, but in all likelihood will be on the agenda for a second read next month, which is policy 7510, use of school facilities. So in conjunction with what Mr. Buccarelli stated in finalizing the lease for Phillips Field, we thought it was just an opportunity just to hold off, just to make sure we're all aligned in terms of the usage of the school facilities for fields and who would be able to take advantage of that. So we'll delay it for 1 month, make sure we're aligned, and then it should be on for a second read next month. That's it for policy committee.
Thank you, Joe. Rich, is there any update as a legislative liaison?
There's a lot of legislation in the pipeline with respect to COVID matters. Nothing's been signed by the governor yet, save an emergency order. And I think Mr. Alexis has been keeping us, fully informed on what the state is doing with respect to the pandemic. But the latest order was that indoor sports are canceled until at least January 2nd was the last I heard. Mr. Alexis, I don't know if that date has changed. It's probably likely to.
It's probably likely to, but it has not changed yet. But you're right, January 2nd was the one in the original executive.
That's all I had, Dory.
Okay, thank you, Jen. Is there any update from the town council?
Nope.
Okay. Gail, any update with the community engagement or for the Somerset County Educational Services Commission?
Well, for the community engagement, just want to say we had the virtual tree lighting, and it was very successful. And our town looks quite festive this year for the holidays, which is quite nice. Don't forget, there is the sledding down at the end of Watchung Lake by the tree. Regarding the Somerset County Educational Services Commission, it has been an honor sitting with these Board of Trustees. It's quite a huge task that they take on. But I have to let you know that besides their school, they have developed a magnificent program, which is called the New Dawn Academy, which offers alternative education for therapeutic and substance recovery students in grades 5 through 12. The goal is for students to develop the skills they need for long-term success in all aspects of their life. And Rutgers University Behavioral Health Program is part of this New Dawn Academy, and will provide students with the mental health support they need, including a clinician and psychiatrist. So this is one of their programs they were developing while I've been sitting on the Board of Trustees. Magnificent commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Jessica, is there a report from the Somerset County School Boards Association?
No, there hasn't been any additional meetings.
Okay. For community engagement, Mrs. Eisenberg Connecton, is there an update with the Borough Council?
Just a reminder for members of the public or any of the representatives to speak, you need to click the raise hand button so Manny can give you the ability to speak.
She just said she's not able to. There's no participant list or anything for the participants.
Okay, we'll work on that.
Oh, there
You
you
just
go. She
unmute.
found it. She found it.
Good evening, everyone. So just bear with me. We've had 3 Borough Council meetings since your last Board of Ed meeting. So I will try to speed through some of our updates. And everyone can hear me okay, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yes.
Somerset County has now implemented the Smart 911 app. You can update your family profiles, including any pets or any medical issues you have, and that information will be completely confidential unless there is a 911 call from that phone number. So please check out, again, the app is called Smart 911. The borough will now be posting weekly updates with the number of confirmed COVID cases within Watchung. In the past month, Watchung cases have increased from 136 confirmed positive cases to 210 confirmed positive cases. That's 74 additional cases in just this past month. Our planning board has adopted their 10-year master plan. The full master plan is available on the borough website. Councilmember Steve Black is retiring from council after serving for 26 years. He first joined the council in 1994. We also have now our new official police chief, Chief Kelly. The wider committee, that is our Watchung Committee for Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Respect, has offered recommendations for the borough, including codes of conduct, additional training for diversity and inclusion, and an effort towards more diverse staffing and hiring. And the wider committee hopes to collaborate with the Board of Education on all diversity advancements as well. You can now renew your pet licenses on our website. And our recreation department will be hosting a snow sculpture contest. It's begun already and will go through March 1st for the most creative snowman, igloo, or sculpture. And there'll be a first, second, and a third prize winner. And all the details for that contest are available on the borough website. And the council at our past meeting has also passed a resolution in support of the installation of a crosswalk across Bayberry Lane with 2 pedestrian crossing signs, along with the associated arrows and no parking signs. Our Borough Council annual reorganization meeting will be held on Thursday, January 7th at 6 p.m. Happy holidays.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Kogiata, is there a WEF update, or is there anyone here from WEF to give an update? Okay, Mrs. Newsome, is there a CPAG update, or is there anyone on from CPAG to give an update?
The pies
Okay.
were delicious.
Yes, they were. I
Yes,
don't know if you guys participated in the Santa Zoom. That was great too. My kids loved it. So I know the CPAG, I guess, isn't on, but I would like to thank them for that as well. Mrs. Connecton, I'm sorry, Mrs. Eisenberg Connecton, is there a PTO update?
Yep, we've got some PTO updates. So starting this Thursday, the PTO will be hosting a Watchung Snowman scavenger hunt. We are still encouraging anyone in our community, anyone with a building, to host a printable Watchung snowman. You can print it, color it, laminate it with packing tape, and then put it outside or in a window so it's visible from the street. Then a game sheet will be distributed on Thursday to all participants to go and find the Watchung snowmen around town. They'll be given a game sheet with street names only, and they'll have to find the house numbers that correlate with the hosting families of our Watchung snowmen. I would encourage all of our board members to please participate. It's simply printing and posting a PDF at your home, and the more houses we have, the more engaged our kids can be in a safe, socially distant, festive activity over the winter break. So signups will go through this Wednesday, the 23rd, and then the snowman scavenger hunt will be from December 24th through January 10th. And all of the information is available on the Watchung PTO website. We're continuing our Dine to Donate programs with Merino Mondays and WASU Wednesdays. So easy to remember, Merino Mondays, WASU Wednesdays through the end of the year. Simply mention the PTO when you're ordering, and a portion of the sales will come back to the PTO. The Merino's Mondays is from 3 to 8 p.m. and WASU Wednesdays, I believe, is from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. But again, all the information is on the PTO website. The Watchung PTO is also exploring having a coding night led by Code Ninja in Westfield over Zoom in either January or February, broken out over grade level. So more information is to come about an enrichment event coming up in the beginning of the new year. Again, a coding night for all grade levels. And while the ground is still workable and not quite frozen, we're going to continue to offer our birthday lawn sign rental. And as always, we have our Amazon Smile program, where if you set up your Amazon Smile account for the Watchung Borough Parent Teacher Organization, a percentage of your sales come back to the PTO. There's no added cost. You can go shopping as you normally would, and a portion of it comes back to the PTO. We also are working on our schoolstore.com. Again, you can shop on various websites, and a portion of the sales comes back to the PTO, and our spiritware is for sale. All this information is continually available on our website, and I would encourage everyone to follow the PTO both on Facebook and on Instagram. And Happy New Year.
Thank you for that. Mrs. Williams, is there an idea update? I don't know if I see her on here. so let's move it on. Comments from the public on agenda items. We welcome input from the public. There are 2 times during the meeting when the public is invited to speak. The first opportunity to comment on agenda items only is now. The second opportunity for public comment is towards the end of the meeting. Total time allotted for public comment is 30 minutes. Before you make your comment, please state your name and address. In the event it appears the public comment portion of the meeting may exceed 30 minutes, the presiding officer may limit each statement made by a participant to 3 minutes duration. Our public forums are not structured as a question and answer session, but rather are offered as opportunities to share input with the board. In instances where the board feels a response is needed, the presiding officer or superintendent will address the comment. New Jersey statutes do not permit the board to discuss personnel or hiring in public session. Names of students should not be used. Mr. Pepe, can you please read the statement due to the recording of this meeting?
Members of the public should consider their comments in light of the legal rights of those affected and identified in their comments. Be aware that they are personally, legally responsible with potential liability for comments that they make to the board. The board shall not be held liable for comments made by members of the public.
Okay, I don't see any hands raised, so I'm going to move on to the action items. Michelle, can you please move administrative items?
Poor thing, Dory. I move the following action items in administrative. A1, approve minutes of previous meeting. A2, accept school security drill report.
Can we get a second?
Second, Gail.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Barbella,
Yes.
Mr. Buccarelli,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingracia,
Abstain on A1 and yes on A2.
Mr. Kraft,
Yes.
Mrs. Murad,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Mrs. Posehn,
Yes.
Mrs. Scharf,
Yes.
and Mrs. Harvey.
Yes.
Motion's pass.
Gail, can you please move personnel items?
Personnel approve B1 for the FFCRA FMLA leaves of absence. B2, approve NJFLA leaves of absence. Approve change in assignment B3. B4, appoint Bayberry School second grade leave replacement teacher. B5, appoint manager of repairs work order system. B6, appoint Valley View paraprofessional. B7, appoint staff daycare provider. B8, appoint Bayberry School secretary. B9, approve student teacher in Bayberry. B10, appoint substitute custodian. And B11, approve stipend for leave replacement secretary to the business administrator.
Can we get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Barbella,
Yes.
Mr. Buccarelli,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingracia,
Yes.
Mr. Kraft,
Yes.
Mrs. Murad,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Mrs. Posehn,
Yes.
Mrs. Scharf,
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey.
Yes.
Motion's pass.
Rich, can you please move operations items?
Sure. I move item C1, approve payment of bills. C2, approve transfer of funds. C3, accept financial reports. G4, accept youth grant services. grant. Like C5, accept PTO grant. C6, accept donation from Watchung Hills Regional High School. C7, approve 2020 extended school year contracts with EBS. C8, approve modified Union County Education Services Commission Transportation Agreement. And with the leave of the board, I will add Mr. Pepe C9 as approval of the shared services agreement between the Township of Burlington and the Borough of Watchung for Pitbull Technology Services in the form attached.
Mr. Bucker, can I just interject for a second?
Sure.
I just double checked, and that shared service was not in the public attachments. It was shared as part of the operations minutes. So I think if you'd like to wait until January so we can, do the correct thing and post it with the agenda, we'll be okay if we do it on January 7th.
Withdraw C8, and we will do it, our January meetings early anyway, so that's fine.
Thank you.
Can we get a second?
Second, Gail.
Discussion? Roll call, please. Oh, sorry.
Dory, if
Discussion?
I may, can I, Mr. Alexis, can I just ask, so just by reading this, did TREPS started it ran October and November, and then it's taking a break and then starting back up in February? Am I understanding that properly?
That was the original plan, but no, it hasn't taken place yet.
It hasn't started
No,
at all yet?
No, we were waiting for.
Because of the whole social distancing
Because
thing?
of that and every other circumstance that we're under, but also waiting for the services grant. So we actually have an administrative meeting where we're going to be talking about that in the Pursuit of Excellence program. Very soon.
And the TREPS as well, maybe
Yes,
doing
exactly.
virtually?
Yep.
Okay. Which I can say, I took my daughter Christmas shopping last night and she was talking about things she'd learned in TREPS. And I was quite impressed. She was talking about how she should budget her money, and it was all what she learned in TREPS last year. So great program.
It was
Thank you.
actually one of the last things that we got to do in person in early March. And so I was thinking about that and what a success that was in terms of not only having the kids present their projects to a panel of adults, but also having the fair on that one evening where they were able to sell their products.
Just got it in under the wire.
Good program. Yes, we did. We got very lucky.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Barbella?
Yes.
Mr. Buccarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Ingracia?
Yes.
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mrs. Murad?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Posehn?
Yes.
Mrs. Scharf?
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey?
Yes.
Motion's passed.
Joe, can you please move policy items?
Sure. E1, approved bylaw for second reading and adoption, bylaw 0164.6, remote public board meeting during a declared emergency.
And we get a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Barbella?
Yes.
Mr. Buccarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Ingracia?
Yes.
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mrs. Murad?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Posehn?
Yes.
Mrs. Scharf?
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, does anyone have any other board business to discuss? And then comments from the public. Please remember to state your name and address before speaking, and please raise your hand. This is on any item. Okay, Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, Gail.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Who moved that motion? I missed the. Oh, thank you,
Jessica.
Jessica.
Yeah. Jessica moved it and Gail seconded it.
Thank you.
Any opposed? Thank you for joining us this evening. This meeting is adjourned.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Good night. and Thank
Good
you,
night.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Gail.